On today's episode of Time About the Movies, we're taking a look at the movies not named Frozen that were released on Thanksgiving weekend, since we already covered it last week. But we have Frozen. Let's say that again. We have Jason Statham starring in the Sylvester Stallone written Homefront. We also have Black Nativity with Forest Whitaker, Angela Bassett, and Jennifer Hudson among the cast. We also have Spike Lee's Oldboy starring Josh Brolin and Samuel L. Jackson, and Idris Elba in the Nelson Mandela biopic Mandela: Long Walk to Freedom. November 27th, 2013. This is Time About the Movies.
How'd we move out here?
Beautiful house, horse trails. What else could we ask for? All right.
Good nights.
Oh, look.
I've got your kid.
Hey!
I'm really scared. Please hurry.
Trust me, I'm coming. Homefront, December 6th.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 4 films that make up November 27, 2013. And we're starting off with the biggest of the 4 releases not named Frozen, like I said, Homefront. No, this isn't a movie based off the character from The Boys, although, to be honest, that probably would be pretty interesting to see in a movie. I'm actually kind of surprised Sony hasn't decided to do a spin-off of that yet. Maybe they're waiting for the show to end, but this is a movie called Homefront. In it, you have Phil Broker, played by Jason Statham, a retired Drug Enforcement Administration agent, a DEA agent, leading a peaceful life with his daughter Maddie. But trouble ensues as Broker and Maddie get entangled with Gator Bodine, played by James Franco, a crime boss, due to a school bullying incident. So yeah, that's how this whole thing starts off with James Franco taking the kid, because just like a bullying incident at school, it's just like, all right, motherfucker, take this. I'm going to take your damn kid. Just like, okay, and you can see kind of what the problem is with the movie here. It is way too much like a much more serious version of Commando. I mean, Commando works because it's a movie where it's literally the same plot as this, except it's goofy and silly and over the top, and it knows what that is. Imagine that, except you've got Stallone trying to go back to his First Blood roots with a film that feels way too much like he's ripping off Commando and trying to make it more serious. I mean, that's all I can think of when I watch this movie in general here. It is not that engaging of a movie in general. And Jason Statham has made some good action movies overall, but yeah, this is one of those ones where it really feels like everybody's phoning it in. Nobody's really giving it their all in here. And it just doesn't work as a whole. It's a movie where the effort is there in terms of the overall performances in here, but like I said, everybody's kind of phoning it in overall. James Franco overall, you'd think he'd be cool in this as the bad guy, but no, he's kind of lifeless in here. It just doesn't work overall, and it really did feel like there was so much left on the table with this. Supposedly, this was originally supposed to be a sequel to Rambo, but that never came to be. They shelved it for like a decade, and so they remade it into a film with Jason Statham to star in it, and like I said, it just didn't work for me. It's a movie where it should have been something much more intriguing overall, but it just doesn't work. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The action is kind of lame, and it doesn't really add anything new to it. Like I said, it's more of a serious version of Commando, and who wants to see a serious version of Commando, honestly? Nobody. That's the correct answer, but that's all I got to say about that one. That's Homefront, but if you thought that was a disappointment, oh boy, wait until you see our next movie. This one is yeah, I do not have the best memories of this one here. This one is called Black Nativity.
You're going to spend the holidays with your grandparents.
We don't even know them.
I'm just thinking about what's best for you.
I'll see you in church.
Tonight? You're tripping.
As for me and my house, we are going to church.
You
need something?
Mom, when are you coming? Bring us together.
The Reverend's putting on his Christmas show. It would mean a lot to him for you to be there.
Today, We are mindful of the needs of this youth, be he in need of guidance or simply a belt to hold his loose-fitting pants up. Amen.
Amen.
What went down with you guys and my mom? Why don't you talk?
The Reverend and I would do anything for you and your mother.
But you can bet your life times that and twice is double. That God knew exactly where He wanted you to be placed. Away.
It's time to forgive, and it's time to come home.
So I know what you're thinking. That doesn't look too bad, honestly, and you're right. The trailers make it don't make it look as bad as it does. In fact, honestly, if anything, it makes it look like a duller version of that. Remember that Saturday Night Live sketch they did called The Proud Pattersons? Where it was one where Sinbad was the guest host on there. It was like all these black people overacting their asses off. I think it was actually presented by the Overacting Negro Theatrical Fund or something like that. It's a really funny sketch overall. Watching that trailer again, it really makes it feel like it literally feels like they took that and made that into a movie just by watching that trailer. But the trailer doesn't look that bad. But then it's one of those things where you really can't judge a book by its cover. You really have to open it up and realize, oh wow, this movie is absolutely terrible. So after his mother, played by Jennifer Hudson, is evicted from their Baltimore apartment, teenager Langston, played by Jacob Lattimore, is sent to spend the holidays with his estranged relatives, played by Forrest Whitaker and Angela Bassett, in New York City, where he embarks on a surprising and inspirational journey, and along with his new friends and a little divine intervention, he discovers the true meaning of faith, healing, and family. And this movie really did something to me that hadn't happened with a movie since The Love Guru 5 years ago. It made me change my opinions on it so many different ways. Like, when I saw The Love Guru for the first time coming out of the theater, I didn't hate it, but as time went on, as the day went on, like 24 hours went on, I really started to think about it, and then I realized, wow, this movie actually is much worse than I could have imagined. That's what happened with me with this movie. When I came out of it, I thought it was alright, but then as time went on and I really thought about everything I saw again, I really came to the realization that, wow, this movie is somewhat a steaming pile of garbage. And I'll tell you right now, I never read the play that this is based on by Langston Hughes, and I actually went out to the Barnes & Noble that was outside the movie theater to see if I could find that story, and it was nowhere to be found. So I had no idea if that was a good representation of the play itself and all that, but I'll begin with the one lone thing about the movie, because there is one lone thing about the film I did enjoy, and that was the songs. I thought they were actually the best part of the movie. In a way, it kind of reminded me of Rock of Ages, like a really bad movie, but the covers by the stars are actually really good, and it was the one thing that carried that movie overall. The same thing happened to here. The songs overall are really good, and I mean, other than that, though, that's about it. I did not like anything else about this movie. For one thing, as great as the soundtrack is, the songs in the movie being placed are so badly placed. There's good songs. They're good songs, but they're horribly placed in the worst possible spots. And not only that, there are scenes that start off singing in the most pointless areas. The most is when Jennifer Hudson is singing to her son at the bus station, and she's literally singing to him while everybody else is pretending that she's not going insane. All I can think to myself is everybody really okay with this woman just singing out of the blue? It's just like, I get this is a musical and all that, and you're not supposed to be thinking about it too much, but, you know, it's just like, she's literally standing there like a crazy person. Like, I'll put it this way. If you watch a video on YouTube of somebody acting crazy, that person would act as crazy as Jennifer Hudson does in that scene. And again, the actors in this are good, but they all look like they just don't give a crap and just decide to go over the top with it. Once again, go watch that SNL sketch and you know exactly what I'm talking about, because if you watch that and watch this movie, you will see exactly the comparisons I'm talking about here. Third, I really hate the main character, and you know, this kid, you know, you're supposed to feel sorry for this kid overall, and at the beginning you do feel sorry, because it really seemed like life was just ready to pound the shit out of him right away, because he gets booted from his home, he arrives in New York, his phone gets broken, his bag gets stolen, he gets put in jail even though he was trying to do the right thing. Like, it literally begins like the Stevie Wonder song, what was the, I can't remember what it was called, like living in the City, I think it was, where he gets off the bus in New York City, and then the guy's just like, hey, you want to make a quick buck real quick, and then he gets involved in a drug bust, and he's just like, he's going to jail for a while or something like that. It's very similar to what happened here, but like, the movie is trying to convince us that this kid is a smart kid, really put in a bad decision. But then he does something really stupid. He tries to pawn off a watch given to his grandfather by Martin Luther King in order to help his mother out of financial troubles. That's just the beginning of the stupidity of this, because he takes the watch to the pawn shop owner, who's actually played by the wife of the husband of Angela Bassett, Bobby Curtis Hall. It's a great scene because the owner talks down to this kid about what this kid is doing and just tells him to get out before he calls the cops. I love it because it perfectly sums up what's wrong with this character. He's supposed to be seen as a smart kid, but he does stupid stuff like that. Like, you know that everyone in this town knows everybody. So your stupid ass decides to take this watch, sell it to the pawn shop, and act like it's not going to be a big deal whatsoever. And I know you want to help your mother, but come on. There are better ways to do that. And it doesn't help that the rest of the cast in this movie is just completely wasted in this. I touched on it before with the overacting, but a movie that has Jennifer Hudson, Forrest Whitaker, Angela Bassett, and Tyrese Gibson giving some of the most overused lines in the history of movie making, being wasted, and they have done much better than this. Even people like Mary J. Blige and Nas are wasted in this. And the movie up until we get to the church scene, it's everything we've seen done before, completely pointless, and I never read the play or the movie that this is based on, so I wouldn't be surprised if they threw this in there just to pad the movie out. Sort of like the live-action Grinch movie where you have that pointless half-hour second act with the jubilation that makes it longer than it needs to be. The nativity scenes where they're trying to make a mix between Bethlehem and modern-day New York have a potential to be something interesting and weird, but it just comes off as weird and awkward. It doesn't make any sense to the story overall, and there's a lot of subplots in this movie that don't get addressed at all. The biggest problem with the movie is that there is no conflict whatsoever. When it's revealed why the family is at what it is today, I really had to look at this and go like, are you fucking kidding me? It makes no sense whatsoever. We just spent an hour and a half trying to figure out what the hell is going on with this movie, why these characters act the way they are, and the most you can give us is, oh, the dad paid his daughter's husband $5,000 to leave her and her son. What was the point of all that? Like, what? It's like, it doesn't explain, they don't even explain why he did that. It makes no sense whatsoever. There's no conflict at all. All this shows is that every one of the lead actors in here are really stupid, and they took a simple, small problem and made it a much bigger deal than it has to be. And I cannot stand that in movies. You've just wasted an hour and a half of my time and everybody else's time on nothing. I hate when people take something so simple and don't use their brains, but instead go out and do these stupid things and make it a much bigger deal than it needs to be. The worst part about this whole thing is that this is directed by Cassie Lemons. Cassie Lemons is somebody who makes great movies. She made Eve's Bayou. She made Talk to Me. And even the good songs that are wasted in this movie just feel like this whole thing is just a complete waste of your time. It's one of the worst movies of the year. It has no reason to be in a theater. The only reason it's in a theater is because it's got a couple of Academy Award nominees and winners in here. If they were replaced by other people, this would have been a Lifetime or Hallmark Channel movie that could have been on the Christmas movie lineup. But no, because we've got all these big stars in here, put it on the big screen. There's no reason for this movie to be as bad as it is, but sadly it is. It is one of the worst movies I saw that year in 2013. This is an abysmal movie. One of the worst Christmas movies I've ever seen in my life. It's just a bad movie. It's a really, really bad film. So yeah, avoid it like the plague. Just, if you want a better movie that's much better than this, watch The Best Man Holiday. The Best Man Holiday is the much better movie here. This is a steaming pile of garbage. So there you go. That's my thoughts on Black Nativity. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is Spike Lee's remake of Oldboy.
Never has a guest made it to the outside world.
Oldboy is the movie that has to be seen, to be believed.
Whoever you are,
I will find you. Oldboy.
you might want to think about what you're doing. I've been thinking about it for the last 20 years.
Rated R in select theaters this Thanksgiving.
By God, it tried. I mean, it really did try, but it's a movie that was a big box office failure. It was also one of the worst movies that Spike Lee's credits have ever done as a director here. But I mean, is it really is it really that terrible though? Let's talk about it here. You have Josh Brolin as an advertising executive kidnapped and held hostage for 20 years in solitary confinement. When he is inexplicably released, he embarks on an obsessive mission to discover who orchestrated his punishment, only to find he is still trapped in a web of conspiracy and torment. And I mean, I've seen the original Oldboy since I first reviewed this remake in particular, and yeah, it's definitely a really damn good movie. It's a movie that really is something that is very well done overall, and I think it is a very solid film. And going into this movie, not knowing, not even seeing the original, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. I don't think it's a bad movie, but you can definitely tell that Spike Lee was trying, and I think it was mostly because the studio interfered with it. Spike Lee wanted to do an 140-minute version of this, but it got cut down to 105 without him knowing about. Well, he was basically told to cut it down to an hour and a half movie, and I think because of that, it really doesn't help the film overall in general. The performances really do carry the film overall. I mean, Josh Brolin is great in anything. I mean, he'll put his best into anything, regardless of how bad it is. Elizabeth Olsen's pretty good in here. So is Charlton Copley. I like the visual style of it. Something very unusual and different from Spike Lee. He does a good job creating this dark, gritty look that makes it kind of stand out on its own. The action has some good moments too, but there's nothing about the action that makes it stand out, and the acting, as well as the acting and the visuals do. The biggest thing overall about it is the script, and kind of like with a movie like Homefront we just talked about, it has the same type of a script we've seen done to death before. It's a generic action movie plot, like something you would take out of Taken, of all things. I mean, it's just, it was really something where it's just like, you don't really feel like you get the full investment of what you're hoping for with a film like this. And even as somebody back then who never saw the original Oldboy and didn't understand how the comparisons between the original and the new one, yeah, it's definitely not the film you expect it to be. And even after I've seen it, I realized that, yeah, this one I kind of don't like less. I kind of like less now because I've seen the original and realized how good it is. But the only thing I could say about it is that the performances are good, the visuals are good, but other than that, though, it's just kind of meh. It's not one of Spike Lee's best movies, nor is it really one of his worst movies. It's just mostly a mixed bag movie. Nothing too spectacular, nothing too amazing, but kind of like with Homefront, you really felt like there was much more left on the table that they pushed to the side that probably could have been added in here. I don't know if there's actually been a director's cut of this that's been out since, but I don't think it has. As far as I know, it hasn't, but I feel like a movie like this really could benefit from seeing the original Spike Lee cut of this. And it's one of those movies where Spike Lee's going to do something different with it, where he doesn't have his traditional a Spike Lee joint in front of it. Now it's just a Spike Lee film, and again, it'd be kind of interesting to see the original cut of this movie, but I don't think we'll ever see it overall. And I don't think the demand is there to see that original version, unfortunately. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Oldboy. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie that we have here, and that is Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom.
My name is Nelson Mandela.
Don't miss the movie that is inspiring critics and audiences everywhere.
I've dedicated myself to this struggle of the African people.
It stands as a reminder that Mandela's fight
Freedom is an ideal for which I am prepared to die.
was a struggle, not for ideals, but for the simple freedom to be human. And now the winner of 3 Golden Globe nominations, including Best Actor Idris Elba. Mandela, rated PG-13, everywhere Christmas Day.
Needless to say, this is based on the story of Nelson Mandela. It's based off of his autobiography of the same name, which chronicles his early life, coming of age, education, and his 27 years in prison before becoming president of South Africa and working to improve the country once ravaged by apartheid. This is written by William Nicholson, who we've talked about some of the movies he's written before. He's written stuff like Shadowlands. He wrote Gladiator. He wrote Les Miserables, Elizabeth the Golden Age. And this was directed by Justin Chadwick, whose last big movie we looked at from him was The Older Berlin Girl, which was a good movie overall. And this one is okay. It's a typical Oscar bait movie overall. And this is a movie where there were so many better Oscar bait movies out there, like 12 Years a Slave, which is funny because William Nicholson claimed the movie didn't do well because of that movie. And in that case, you know, comparing 12 Years a Slave to Mandela Walk to Freedom, 12 Years a Slave is obviously going to win, but at least with Mandela, I want to watch it more than once and not be, and unlike 12 Years a Slave, where you want to watch it, where you like it, but you don't want to watch it again because of the heavy subject matter here. This film is, it's just fine. It's just nothing too spectacular about it. The best thing about it's a typical Oscar bait movie where the performances are going to be great, but the story is so bland and mediocre, and there are just much better movies like this that's out there that are much better than this film is. In fact, Weinstein Company had a pretty lazy Oscar season, the more I think about it, because they had this, and we just talked about another one, Philomena. Yeah, they did not have a really good slate this particular season of films for the Oscar season overall. It just, I don't know, none of it really worked for me overall. It just never really felt like there was just nothing about this movie that made me think of it was one of the best movies of the year. It's a movie where it's begging for Oscars. It didn't really get any, and you can kind of see why. It's a kind of bland, generic biopic of a story that should be much more fascinating and much more intriguing than anybody could ask for here. Like, you need to do, if you're going to tell the story of Nelson Mandela, you got to do it I would say you got to do it on the same wavelength that they did for Gandhi. Like, make it a big, sweeping epic, make it a big epic story about the life and times of Nelson Mandela during this time. But not a movie like this that feels like it's cut down so they can make it for the mainstream audience. It just doesn't work overall. I feel like there could have been so much more done if he had done it in the same vein as Gandhi. Make it like a big epic overall. But like I said, Idris Elba's fine, really good in this. He's the one thing that I would say it's worth it just for that. But you're never going to want to watch this again after the first time out. So there you go. That's my thoughts on Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and Christmas Eve here tomorrow, and then we'll look at the beginning of the last few weeks of 2013 with the first weekend of December. It's post-Thanksgiving weekend, so around this time, of course, nobody's releasing any of the big new releases, but we do get a couple of films here. We get Christian Bale starring in Scott Cooper's Out of the Furnace, and we have the latest film from the Coen brothers with Oscar Isaac and Justin Timberlake among the cast, Inside Llewellyn Davis. So we'll take a look at those two films tomorrow here on the show. With all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.